Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for attending the ARCOM AGM. You can see there on the screen we have to share the agenda for today's meeting. So the formalities will be elements of taking the attendance, taking any apologies, and then Craig, our committee secretary, will take us down through the 2020 AGM minutes. And if I could just draw your attention to file downloads on the right-hand side, you can actually download last year's AGM minutes in a PDF. Then we'll take the nominations for, we'll adopt our minutes and take any matters arising. Then we'll take the nominations to the committee. I'll offer some reflections on the year that has passed. And item 3, we'll then have the Treasurer's report. Item 4, then the membership report, item 5, and the workshop report on item 6, and then we'll take any other business, and then we'll draw the meeting to a close. And the plan is to have all our business done by 13:30, so that people can actually have time to go and have some lunch and engagement with in the cafe area. So Paul has a okay. That's fine. Okay, so welcome everybody, and if I can hand over to Craig. Did we receive any apologies, Craig?
No, nothing.
Okay, so maybe Craig, excuse me, I'm going hoarse at this stage. I'll just speak. Could you take us down through the minutes for the 2020 AGM? Okay.
Too many screens open. Okay. Okay. Can you see? I've got difficulty. I can't see what I'm looking at. So
the screen is loading as we speak. I think it just takes a moment or two, Craig, I believe, to actually load.
This is exciting, isn't it? Is it?
Lloyd, can you sing us a song?
I could, Will, but I won't.
Thank you.
No, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be up to the standard of Daniel, you know. and you know, I could do a limerick though.
Is it polite?
Yep, it is.
Are we there?
We're there. Excellent.
Yeah, that was close.
Okay, so we'll just go through the minutes from the last meeting, which was obviously held at the last ARCOM conference on the 8th of September last year. Seems a while ago now, but yeah, so we've got the attendance list. There was no apologies for that particular meeting. The minutes effectively clarify the nominations that were for the last committee. So from that committee, there was obviously there was people, the new committee was elected, it was seconded. The chair obviously gave some reflections around the meeting itself. And during the meeting, we obviously thanked Annie and Fred, who were leaving the committee at that point. Lloyd became the chair of ARCOM during the meeting and gave us a bit of a talk about his incoming chair and plans for the next year. There was Treasurer's report, membership, workshop report discussions and there, but there was no official actions on the minutes. Okay, is that enough?
Excellent, Craig. Thank you for taking us down through the minutes.
Okay, and I will
Are
stop sharing.
there any matters arising that people would like to raise? And are we happy that it's an accurate reflection of what happened at the meeting in 2020? Okay, I presume quietness. Could I have somebody who might actually, who would like to actually propose the minutes on a seconder, please? Okay, Colin is proposing, and Paul has seconded. A question from. That's a really good point, Will, in relation to when the minutes refer to appended documents, should those documents be appended? We can say yes. Unfortunately, we don't have them appended in terms of taking us through the meeting now, but as a formal record of the minutes, when they go on the ARCOM website, the appendices will be actually included. So I hope that's sufficient in terms of an accurate reflection of actually what took place in the actual meeting. So I think I got a thumbs up there from Will. So we're happy to move forward on that. Okay. So that's the minutes from the 2020 AGM. Moving on to item 2, nominations to the committee. So the nominations to the committee this year are, I'll just go down through the members. So I remain as chair, Lloyd Scott from Griffith College. Apollo is vice chair again this year and will be conference chair next year. Chris Gorse is immediate past chair. Craig Thompson remains as secretary. Robbie Satanto remains as publications officer. John Spillane remains as membership secretary. Chika Udeja remains as the workshop convener. Vivian Chow is our treasurer, remains as treasurer. So, and then committee members are Emmanuel, Paul, Patrick, Chrissy, Libby, Simon, Niraj, Nicola, Colin. And this year we have 2 new members coming onto the committee following the election process that we carried out during July. Barry Gledson from Northumbria University in Newcastle is joining us, and Pippa Boyd from the University of Reading is joining us. So as chair, I'd really like to welcome Barry and Pippa to the committee and look forward to working with you. And we're excited about that. Okay, and I can see some people are passing on some messages in the chat. What I would say is that we are actually in terms of, normally we will have a 21-person committee, and this year we didn't have to conduct a voting process for election to the committee, unlike in previous years. But we do have 2 positions on the committee. And what we have discussed at committee level is that we will actually, which is allowed under the Constitution, is that we can co-opt people onto the committee to actually work on the committee with us this year. So we actually proposed to be in touch with people in terms of actually co-opting people to work on the committee. I'd like to just actually happily say that the committee is in place, and as chair I look forward to working with everybody and making the ARCOM association be the premier association for the delivery of construction management research, and we'll engage in our activities over the year. From a chairman's reflection, item 3 now, from a chairman's reflection.
Lloyd, just before you move on, I just sort of, I suppose, clarify just on the voting. We did run a voting and election process for Barry and Pippa, where Barry and Pippa were elected, but we've obviously, I suppose, unless I missed it, you didn't mention the number of people who stepped down.
Oh, I actually, sorry.
That's where there's some slight confusion there. I just thought I'd clarify.
Lovely, and thank you for that. Yes, so what we have is we have 4 people stepping down from the committee. and the committee members stepping down are our long-serving committee member, David Boyd. And David has been serving on the committee for a long time. I think he mentioned in the chat yesterday lunchtime that 1993 was his first ARCOM conference. So you can see that, I know that David has been involved on the committee for many years. So David is stepping down. And we really appreciate the efforts and the work that you've done over the years, David, in the contribution to ARCOM, and we'll reflect on that later on this afternoon in the awards ceremony. Also stepping down is Dr. Shuling Liu from the University of Reading, and unfortunately Shuling wasn't in a position to join us at this year's conference. And during the years on the committee, Shuling was our membership secretary, and John Spillane has taken over from Shuling last year. And Shuling made a huge contribution in aligning our membership processes. And I would just like to actually thank Shuling for the work that she has done on that, and all the work that she has contributed to the ARCOM committee over the years. Also leaving the committee are the two Alexes, Alex Apoko and Alex Coping. And again, both Alexes have contributed greatly to the committee and are leaving us on this occasion and moving on to other pastures. So thank you both, Alex Poking and Alex Coping for your contributions, and we really appreciate the input that you have both given to us over the last number of years in terms of your time on the committee. So thank you for that. So just moving on then, in terms of moving on from the committee there, my chair's reflection. So I took the role of chairman last September. During the year, we have engaged in a number of different activities. The ARCOM conference last year was a big departure from what our normal face-to-face conference would bring. We did try to engage as best we could in terms of the online conference. We got a numerous feedback, both positive in terms of the engagement and the fact that we actually continued the ARCOM tradition in terms of having a conference, but also that we actually engaged with the community and got people involved to actually have an opportunity for us to share our research. So that was the positive. That reflection then led into this year's in terms of knowing that we couldn't come face to face, that we actually would run the conference on a virtual basis this year. We did learn a number of things from last year, and I kind of mentioned them in our opening address. I do think the infrastructure for the conference this year is much better than we had last year. So again, it's very much a learning continuum. And every time we do both a virtual or a face-to-face conference, we learn so much, and we try to improve on the previous experiences of the past. During the year, we had a number of workshops, and again, those workshops attracted good participation and attention. And again, that's down to the commitment and the engagement of the committee members in terms of running events that members of the association are interested in and actually do want to actually get involved in. So from that perspective, it was given the nature of the fact that we couldn't travel, it was a good year in terms of the online events that we actually ran. I know the committee have been very supportive to me in the last year. I had a personal family bereavement during the year, and I know that people have come in and actually helped me through that. And certainly the conference that we have and the events that took place over the year wouldn't have happened without the commitment of the strong committee that are actually supporting me. And I would just like to openly say at the AGM, I really would like to thank the committee members for that support that you've given me throughout the year. So that's my reflections on the year, and I look forward to a more engaging year this year. Hopefully I'll be able to make a different contribution to ARCOM this year than has gone in the last year. Okay, so thank you for that. Moving on then, we have the Treasurer's report. So I'd like to hand over to Vivian to take us through that. Did you want to share this up? Vivian's sharing the screen as we speak. So Vivian is going to take us down through the Treasurer's report. So over to you, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Lloyd, for the introduction. Please let me know if the report is showing on your screen yet. I understand that it takes a little while. Can I get some confirmation whether or not it's showing up yet?
It is indeed, Vivian.
Thank you very much. So this is the first year that I took over the treasurer role. So this is the first year that I've had the pleasure to conduct this the audit process. So this report is that I'm showing you on the screen now is the independent auditor's report that is issued. Was issued a couple of days ago, in fact, fresh off the press, and it outlines the financial incomings and goings for the last year. I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied. I'm a little bit nervous, so I'll just go through the report very quickly. It lists the financial members as at 30th of April 2021. So as our chair Lloyd has explained, there has been people appointed and people stepping down in September last year at the conference, at the last AGM at the conference. So this reflects people that are currently executive members. I think I can scroll quickly. Here it is. So the hard copy of this report is in the post as we speak. So that's why this accounts for why this is currently unsigned, but I can show the log at the end of this document to show that it has been e-signed by myself. Here's the independent examiner's statement, basically to say that it was done in accordance with Companies Act 2006, and that everything is they confirmed they did not see any discrepancies. I think that is the wording that they like to use. And I also confirmed that their records match those that I conducted, the audit that I conducted, or the accounts that I conducted, rather, sorry. Going into the balance and law statement. This year has been a really, sorry, when I say this year, I mean the past financial year has been a very unusual year compared to previous years. So you will see that the types of income and expenditure really do not match those of previous years. You would see that it doesn't really fall into the same pattern because we went online, because of the pandemic, because there was no travel. So you will see that in the fees received, we conducted an online conference last year as well, and the conference fees were much less than a normal conference, so the income was less. And in terms of the conference expense, I would just like to point out that this conference expense includes the platform that we procured from iVent to the value of 20,700. So that's the bulk of the conference expense, but we are then able to, since then, upgrade the same platform, and I'm hoping that we can continue to do so. What else? There was also additional administration fees in regards to Chris and Kev's time, because they were in the background doing a lot of work to facilitate the technical support for the e-conference, for the virtual conference. Difference in expenses due to not having any physical committee meetings, and there was no fee associated with, no expenses associated with doctoral workshops because they were also done online. So in conclusion, the expenditure was, we did make a loss over the last financial year, and this was as a result of the committee agreeing to push ahead with the conference and continue our tradition of providing a conference experience, and our financial model was able to absorb that. We are still in a very healthy financial state going forward. There's no tax payable this year because we didn't make a surplus. And I think that is everything that I would like to say. The next page shows how a breakdown of our current assets and liabilities. And there is also £1,000 that was credited to us from Glasgow that we hope to use when we eventually get to Glasgow, hopefully next year. And I think that is all. Are there any questions from the floor? No. Okay. In which case, I would like to thank the participants, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Super, Vivian. Thank you very much for the work you've done on that in terms of coming into the role and, you know, having very much been on a huge learning curve in the last while. But I know Apollo has been by your side in terms of giving you the direction that you've needed. So well done on presenting very coherent Treasurer's report. Could I ask that we have a proposer and a seconder from outside the committee to accept the Treasurer's report as read or as presented? So Will Hughes is proposed. And Fred has seconded. Thank you, Fred. Just can I just backtrack to the nominations to the committee? I just one oversight of mine is that we actually should have proposed and second the committee nominations. So could I actually have someone to propose the committee for 2021-22 and a seconder, please, from outside of the committee? Okay, David Boyes has proposed a committee and Bernard Tuffor Atuen has seconded. Thank you for that. So moving on, we're at just coming up to 1:10. So moving on to item 5, membership report. Could I hand over to John Spillane to take us through the membership report?
Okay, can you hear me?
We can indeed.
Great stuff. Okay, thanks, Lloyd. Okay, thank you for sharing the screen. So just a very quick update on where we are on numbers. Our membership numbers to date, we have 676 people who are registered on a database, which is again an increase on last year. So we're seeing a year-on-year increase on membership, which is obviously very beneficial and it's something that we like to see. Of that, we have 467 who are registered as full members, with 206 who are student members. We also have 3 who are advised. Now, these were student members from one of our membership institutions who applied for memberships unaware that they were able to avail of the discount because of their institutional membership. So they were then noted as being advised and did not want to take up individual student membership separately. For our institutional members, we are at 19 institutional members, where 15 are UK, 2 Sweden, and 2 from Ireland. So again, for any of you who are in attendance, be it that you would like to inquire about individual membership and or institutional membership, on the bottom right-hand corner, you have the information PDF, which Chris Nielsen has thankfully provided to you. So if you have any questions on that, even if it's just an inquiry, what does membership entail, etc., the costs associated, I would be glad to answer any and all queries in relation to that. Moving on in relation to payment, of our membership base as of the 30th of August, we have 87 paid up members, 16 of which are student and 71 which are full members. Again, looking at it, this is relatively speaking comparable with previous years, but a point to note which has come up particularly in the last 18 months is a reduction in membership payments due to the COVID-19 pandemic and universities having shortfall relative to financial position. So that is something to note. Again, that is also reflected in our institutional membership as well. We have a number of institutions who are outstanding. Now, again, as this report was generated on the 30th of August, we had a reminder sent out, of which a large number of that listed before you have contacted me and are in the process of making their payment for their annual membership. So again, that list maybe not is reflective of what is actually the stance of where we are. Again, given the delays with clearance to banks, etc., the details we have are somewhat behind what may actually be the case. But overall, we're following a similar trend to previous years, be it that our individual membership is increasing and our number of paid up members is in line, if not slightly increasing year on year. And again, particularly as noted at last year's AGM, we had a number of institutions who declined membership due to the ongoing pandemic, where they would ask that maybe they just review it on a year-on-year basis going forward, of which we were happy to do so. So that's just a quick snapshot of where we are on membership. Overall, and in the majority, it's very positive, and it's something that we'd like to build on. Again, given the past work that Schuling has done, just standing down again, I'd also like to just note my significant appreciation and thanks to Schuling for aiding in the transition for me into membership secretary. It's a significant task, one that I underestimated, but I'm very thankful for her work that she's done. She has laid the foundations on which I am just taking that model forward on. So again, just to note and to thank you to Schuling as well for her time on the committee and particularly her work done to memberships as well. Have we any questions or comments? Look at the chat.
John, I do have a question. Can you hear me?
I can indeed, Chika. Yep.
Yeah. You know the non-payments you have there.
Yes.
The year, is that as far, like for London South Bank, you said, is that 2016? Yeah.
Yes.
So that time is before my time, and also even probably the team that has been assembled there. So I don't know. I'll make an effort to see if we can recover that money.
Look, I don't think anyone is we're not going to turn down payments relative to previous years. But look, we've had a number of instances where, for whatever reasons, people missed a year or something. Look, it may have been an oversight relative to an invoice, etc. But yes, if it is something that you'd like to pursue, you can talk to myself and Chris Nielsen, and something we'll look into as well if you wish. Thanks, Chika. Any other questions, comments?
John, just looking at, is there a page down, but I can't see Leeds Beckett institutional membership.
Yours came through, so this is a list of non-payments.
All right, okay, sorry, I thought that was paid. Right, thank you.
You can pay again if you wish. There's no problem. We'll take a dual payment, a double payment if you wish. Lloyd, you're muted, I think, or I can't hear you anyway.
No. Thank you, John.
Okay.
Absolutely sterling work, building on the work that, as you mentioned, Schuling did.
Yeah, and again, just to note it, I'm just carrying on the work that she done. All the credit must be given to Schuling for putting a real stellar database. Obviously, that's built upon Chris's work, Chris Nielsen, etc., and Kat as well. Again, stellar work done. All I'm trying to do is just keep the boat afloat.
Well, you're doing a great job in that regard, and I think it behoves a mention in terms of we're actually in a very good place in terms of the structures around. Apollo, do I see your hand up to ask a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to propose that with these memberships, since they are essentially annual memberships, that perhaps we shouldn't spend a lot of time chasing memberships that were paid 6, 7, 5, whatever number of years ago. We should focus maybe at the current and maybe the year before. And that's my suggestion.
Yeah, no, I just, again, as I said, I'm just following on, but what we've done in the past, as we looked at our interim meetings between the conference, is the reason that we put the table there with the previous non-payments is not to track back and try to get those non-payments, but it just gives us a reflection of where we are relative to an individual institution and if they've made payments in the past, etc. So that's the reason for that. And the other note we had, I think it was on February's meeting, that we would send out, as would be the norm, your invoice in April each year, and which then we would have one reminder coming up to the conference, and not to bombard individuals, etc., but that's what we've been doing in the past. But just to note and to confirm, although appreciated Chicas wants to look back at 1 year that was missing, that there's no issue there, but it's not something where I'm actively going and pursuing people for non-payment of previous years. That's not something that I'm entertaining, nor am I looking at pursuing, to be honest.
Okay, thanks, Apollo. So I just wonder, based on Apollo's suggestion, might it be appropriate in the future that we maybe just list the unpaid institutional members?
That's fine. Yeah, and again, as I said, I was just doing what we've done in the past. But I would acknowledge that maybe that would be a better approach. Yes.
Okay, great. So thank you for that, John and Apollo, and we'll move on. So we have the membership report taken. Can I propose that we adopt it? A seconder, maybe. Apollo is possibly proposing.
Okay.
And seconded by Chrissy. Great. So moving on to the workshop report. Chica, over to you. If you would like to give us some feedback on what has happened.
Okay, thank you, Lloyd. Mine is going to be very quick. So back in April, we had this very successful workshop on beyond surveying and interviews, rethinking construction management. And when we reconvened for the meeting, I think it was in May, we agreed to follow this on. I think the people we identified then was Vivian, myself, Libby, and Paul. Unfortunately, I think I'll raise up my hand to this. I was supposed to lead it. I've not followed it on, so we've not done anything since then. But I think the intention is probably now after the conference. The idea was one of the things they suggested in the meeting was, since we had this successful workshop, to follow it on with what are the emerging research issues in this area, not just focusing on those traditional ones. So that's what we're going to do. I also know that Craig, you had a workshop within that period of this year, I guess. Yeah, so that's what we've done so far. And also talking about the new members, so maybe this is an opportunity, because always we when we come for these meetings, we talk about getting people to run a workshop. Please, one of the things we are asking Barry and Piper, please, if you can, it's important that we use the workshop to supplement what we do in the conference. I think they've been very good interaction, or a lot of things coming out from the research going on around the world. So it will be good to explore this further down using workshops. So I still urge members, I think in this forum also, so it's not just the committee members that should organize workshops. So we've had cases where in Australia, we had workshops in South Africa. So we have members contributing. But I think during this pandemic, it's kind of dried out. So maybe, and we have the platform, because I thought now that this is the time that this will gain more interest, but we're struggling with organizing conferences. I understand that there's a lot of work people are doing in their various universities. So any question? I don't know.
Okay. Don't see any questions. Don't see any questions arriving in the chat. Paul.
I think Vivian ran a workshop also, and I think Lloyd had something on well-being as well.
Yeah, we had a health and well-being workshop following the conference. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so thank you, Chika, for your report. Certainly to extend your offer and an invitation to people to promote and discuss potential workshop types.
Yeah,
we're very much open to that. I note in the chat, Pippa has indicated that she would be very, very, very happy to actually engage in the discussions. So that's really, really helpful, Pippa. So we look forward to that engagement in terms of workshops going forward. Will has a question there in the chat. Will workshops be run through this platform? The potential is to run conferences through and workshops through this platform, Will. I know that we didn't actually switch to it for the workshop that Vivian ran. So in terms of that, we could use this platform. And if I just might add, in terms of, given that the platform has been raised, we chose to use a company last year, and from that experience, we decided to just buy the link to the webinar platform ourselves and have our own license. And the advantage of doing that is that we are actually able to design it design the platform around our needs, but also actually we have been able to advertise using the platform to other organizations, and there has been one organization already who has used the platform. So what we've done is actually we've offset some of the cost associated with the actual cost of the platform. And again, that's advantageous to us. And again, it's our collaboration with Kat O'Connell at IT Solutions that has allowed us to do that. But it's also down to the sterling work of our ARCOM administrator, Chris Nielsen. Chris has been very, very much forward-looking in relation to what we could do to actually sustain ourselves. And as Vivian reported, we did have a deficit last year, but the investment in our future was worthwhile from the point of view of actually being able to go forward and be able to sustain the construction management community into the future. So that's a positive on that. So thank you for your contribution, Chika, in terms of the workshops. I'd like to move now to...
Sorry, Lloyd, I do have a question about the platform. So if we're going to use this platform to do it, would there be any support, like what Chris and Kat are doing at the moment, if we're going to...
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something we can discuss at committee level, Chika.
Okay.
I think it would be appropriate for us to, if we are running workshops, to actually see what investment we could put in those workshops. So again, if a proposal comes forward, that's something we can discuss at committee level going forward. So thank you for that question. Okay. So moving on, any other business? Excuse me. Is there any other business that people want to raise? I see Paul Chan has his hand up.
Yeah, just to say that, Lloyd, you have been in this position to run 2 conferences online, and this is not very usual, and it's been a very nice conference this year, as well as last year. So thank you very much.
Lloyd, thank you.
Lloyd, can I?
Thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate those words, and certainly, you know, it certainly would not have been possible to do this without the support of Chris Nielsen and Kat O'Connell. It has been a major undertaking. We have learned so much. We were forced into it. It's not something, and I know the committee, we discussed this at length, but I know it's not something that we like to do, is to meet online. But as I mentioned in my reflections, it was something we needed to do, and certainly we've sustained ARCOM into the future, in my view, and I think that was the objective, and hopefully we will all see each other next year in person in Glasgow, and I'm certainly, as chair of ARCOM, really looking forward to that day. So thank you for those kind words. Someone else wants Apollo.
Thank you, Lloyd. Just picked up a point made by.
Yes, can I? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to pick up a point made by Andrea, where she says, "Can you include a donation option in the payment process, e.g., conference payment, membership payment, that might help with the finance?" And I just wanted to thank Andrea for that suggestion.
Yes.
But also to perhaps clarify that the financial, the deficit that you saw was not unexpected. In fact, it was deliberate, if you see what I mean, because when we were confronted by the pandemic, your committee decided that on these virtual conferences, that the association would shoulder almost all the costs, which is why I think last year we had a fee of £50 or £25.
Yep.
And even this year we've asked for, I think, £100 or something like that. So the deficit is not a surprise. So members should not be over concerned. But I think the idea of donation is something that perhaps the committee will think about and come back to members maybe in the future.
Yep. Yeah. Legente, did you want to make a comment?
Lloyd?
Yep.
Can I raise one request for newsletter? I think it's the appropriate forum.
Okay, apologies, Robbie. Yes. Can you just hold a minute, though, because Legente, I think, wanted to ask a question on the other thing, but I'll come back to you now in a moment.
That's fine.
Yes. Oh.
Hi.
My connection is apparently pretty bad.
Okay.
But I just because of all these online conferences and also the fact that do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Yep.
Yes. And there are so many papers. So I noticed this year there's so many parallel sessions and you keep missing out on so many other papers. So I thought, well, maybe it could be an idea to try experimenting with a online version of ARCOM every other year or something, and also then have the physical meeting, and then you can maybe select some papers for the online version in another time period, so not in the same week but in maybe half a year later or so, that you also spread, because we want to of course offer a lot of new young scholars also opportunities to present, but at the same time when it's too crowded in a conference, it doesn't really do justice to the quality of all the work that is done. So it's 10 minutes presentation, 2 or 1 questions, and then we move on. And I think the debate on certain themes and certain more, that might be, especially when we now experience that some things can be online while others need to be physically available, it might be something to think about for the future.
Okay. No, you raise a really good point, and you raise a couple of the points that we did discuss at committee level. And yes, 106 papers over 2 days is a lot, and last year I think it was 127. So yes, it is a really good idea to maybe stagger those. And again, that we'll take your comments on board and something we can bring to the committee. A point to mention about the online conference is that we've actually squeezed what in the past was 2.5, nearly 3 days of a conference. We've squeezed it into 2 days. So there is that factor too. But you do give us food for thought, and thank you for that. Just to hand over to Robbie. Apologies, Robbie, didn't appear on my minutes. Would you like to give us a quick update on the newsletter?
Yes, fine. Yeah, I mean the current issue of the newsletter actually in the file downloads box on your right hand side of the screen. Just would like to invite contribution for all ARCOM members. I think it's appropriate to raise in this forum. So ARCOM, invite contribution not just from the committee member, but also from wider ARCOM member. So the newsletter is created for the members, and to be much more useful. I think it will be great if we can receive a contribution as well from the wider members. I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Robbie, for that. So we're inviting members to make contributions to the newsletter. Robbie, if you actually open any of the newsletters, you'll find Robbie's email address. So if you want to make a contribution to ARCOM's newsletter, please, by all means, contact Robbie. Chris Gorse, did you want to raise something?
Yeah, sorry, because I've come in as a facilitator, I can't raise my hand. It was really just taking heed of where we are with the finances. Obviously, 2 years with reduced income, and we've managed to, significantly reduce our reserves. We're obviously going to have to plan Glasgow with some carefully. And I can see that, because of the way that the pandemic's rolled out, is that some people will be requiring online, but obviously the cost of that is potentially going to have to go up. Yeah. If we're going to rebuild those reserves so we can continue to run physical events. So I can just say, you could just see that we wouldn't survive another pandemic if we did it the same, and then another one following that.
Yeah.
So just obviously some care in terms of considering the comments in terms of the balance between online and physical events, which I support, but financially we've also got to work out.
Yeah. Really
jump in there.
Yeah.
There was really, from an accounting perspective, we could have spread out the cost of the platform over the 2 years, because if you think about it, we did use it over 2 years. For simplicity, we didn't. But I would just like to hold off a little bit, because when we get the financials in for this conference, I think that the accounts will look a lot healthier than it did this time last year.
Yeah, absolutely, Vivian. Good point. Unless there's any other points that people want to raise, I'd like to bring our AGM to a close. I'm really excited about 2021-22 ARCOM year going forward. I'm absolutely delighted that we had actually 48 people attend the AGM. I'm not sure if that's a record, but certainly in the past, I do remember us actually trying to cajole people to come along to the AGM so that we could get a quorum. So we're actually far exceed the quorum this year, which I'm really delighted about. And I just I'd like to say thank you all for your contribution. We look forward, the committee elected looks forward to representing you as the ARCOM members in the future, in this coming year. And if there is anything that you feel you would like to contribute to, or any suggestions you have for us, please do contact me as the chair of ARCOM or any other member of the committee if you feel more appropriate to contact them. But I look forward to seeing you all in Glasgow face-to-face next year, and thank you all for your support.